Shane. Set your minds free, no locks and chains. Do what you love, roll the dice. 50-50, we cold as ice. One thing cold, but a pretty turn red. Can't let that trade play in my hand, war gaming.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Hobby Homies. We are your weekly tabletop podcast. I'm Shane, joined by Fox.
Howdy, friends.
And of course, we've got Churchy in the void.
Yep, I'm in the void.
He is in the void, and I can confirm.
He's been banished there permanently.
He's got his headphones on, he can't hear us now.
That's right.
Wait, that's a bad thing.
No, I can.
You can hear us better.
Oh, that makes sense.
Today, we are going to be talking about Mecha Hex, which is OnePageRules' answer to BattleTech.
Okay, so immediately my brain is floating around with all these different mech-oriented games. Mm-hmm. We've got Bot Wars, Titanicus,
Yeah.
Mech Hex,
Mecha Hex.
And the other one you said?
BattleTech.
BattleTech.
Yep.
So, of all these different versions, how did you come to play Hexagear? No, Mechatech.
Mecha Hex. The name is interesting. It's
Yeah.
kind of like I've actually started looking at OnePageRules one-shot games, they call them.
Right.
And their names are uninspiring.
Okay.
But the games look very good.
Sure.
But it's like they've put so much effort into the games and like, what should we call this? It's like,
No.
there's mechs and there's hexes. Let's just call it Mecha Hex.
Mecha Hex. That will help me remember, though, actually, knowing it's mechs and it's hex best.
Yeah.
Mecha
So
Hex.
we came to be playing this one by one of our longtime homies,
Burnsy.
and Mech, Combat, BattleTech. BattleTech's been around for a long time,
Sure.
since like the 80s, I
Yep.
think. Apparently there is so much lore to it, which is incredible. It's kind of like one of those things like the 40k universe. You don't really know how deep it is until you start getting into it.
Sure.
Rabbit holes galore. Right?
Yeah. You just assume there's some light fluff to support the game, and then
Pretty
you go
much.
diving
Yeah.
and you find there's an ocean there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with this, there's novels and everything like that. But
Wow. And that's with BattleTech.
that's BattleTech.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So as OnePageRules like to do, BattleTech itself is incredibly complicated. Games can go for like 8 hours.
Wow.
Because it is so detailed down to like the finest points of where you can apply damage to and all that kind of stuff.
Far out.
I briefly, and I say briefly, I mean I like flicked through in about 3 seconds the rule book
Sure.
that Burnsy had, and I was like, yeah, this is too much.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we ended up playing Mecha Hex.
Which is like a refined version of BattleTech.
Yep, it's like
Yep.
they've watered it down. They've made it more palatable for people to enjoy without having to dedicate such a long time frame to.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me of your experience. I mean, I know nothing. You played this without me, you traitor. And
You were invited.
yeah, that's true. I couldn't make it. So, like, I know nothing about this game apart from it's played on hexes, but take me top to bottom, all of it. The biggest thing is, like, what makes a OnePageRules one-shot game versus their other established games? What makes it one-shot?
Yeah. Well, I say one shot. On their website, they have like, here's Grimdark Future, here's Age of Fantasy.
Sure.
And like then there's like a tab where it's like, have a look at our other games.
Right, sure.
And there's there was games for like their own version of Blood Bowl.
Right.
An RPG system.
There you go.
Which you could just expand on, and like rules for like getting out your old school army men. You know those plastic things we all had as kids.
Yep, that we all melted with our magnifying glasses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's rules for like playing games with those.
Yeah,
and
wow.
like that was one that was in there, and their own version of Gaslight. There's a whole bunch. Anyway.
Sure. So it's like their second tier games.
Pretty much.
type
It's like
thing.
they've just developed like once, and they haven't really put updates and like FAQs and like releasing multiple editions,
Sure.
versions of the rules.
Yep.
They made it, and they're like, this is done.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Put a big tick on it.
yeah, pretty much.
It's done.
Yeah. So the game itself, like we've just already established, is played on hexes.
Sure.
A 15 by 17 hex sort of board, so almost a square. I think it's kind of like 2 foot by 2 foot.
Okay.
You can play with inches rather than hexes, but facing is crucial.
Sure.
Your facing of your mech, because you take movement points to move, to reposition, to
Okay.
adjust your facing. penalties for like moving backwards without turning, pivoting. There's all kinds of stuff like that. But
so would a move typically then be, if you wanted to move 3 hexes and turn you're facing 90 degrees, that's 4 movement points?
pretty much, yeah.
Sure.
I think each move is like 60 degrees.
Okay.
So it's it's kind of weird, right? So like if you wanted to move like let's say 120 degrees or 3 times to do a full 180, it's going to cost you 3 movement points.
Wow.
Some mechs only have a maximum of 3 movement points because they're like giant hulking,
Lumbering,
like monsters, right?
So their turn is just turning slowly, waddling around.
Yeah. Uses a similar dice system to OnePageRules games, with like a D6 system. Generally a rule, like a value for what you need to hit and what you need to save.
Sure, like your quality roll and your
defense roll. Yeah, exactly.
Roll.
Yeah. In this they call it a evasion, which is what it was interesting the first time I read it. I'm like, oh, okay. So instead of you knowing what you need to hit, you need to know what you need to roll, which is my evasion, right? So it's like my mech. Let's say I'm playing a medium mech. Has like a 4+ evasion.
Okay.
So it's kind of like. It's not a light mech, which is like a 5+.
Sure.
Which is to replicate like how fast they are, right?
Yeah, right.
Or an assault mech, which is like a 2+.
Okay.
So you hit on a 2+,
Oh, right. So you are trying to roll. You're trying to exceed
beat
their value.
their evasion score.
Right. Right.
Anything below that counts as a miss.
Okay.
And then once you take damage, then you have to roll. So then the person that receives the damage rolls on your own toughness,
right?
Which is kind of like an armor save.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're basically observing your opponent's stat line for the entirety of the shooting phase.
Yeah, it really is. Like you're not just like most games we know you have to compare strengths versus toughnesses. So you're always asking your opponent, what's your toughness, what's your strength?
Yeah.
With this is kind of like what's your evasion?
Yeah.
And then once you know that, I mean they're all the same unless you might have an item which maybe modifies it by 1 or something, but you pretty much know heavy mech has an evasion of like 3+.
Okay. That's cool because it feels like the more you play it, you would like it wouldn't take you long just to look at them and just be like, all right, I know those have 2+, those have 3+.
Yeah.
You said that's got the item that gives them the 1, so that goes from 4 to 5.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take long to get there, which is good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the mechs that like you might have a hold action, which is like you opting not to move.
Yep.
Instantly, you now have an evasion score of 2+.
Oh wow!
So it's like you're easier to hit.
Yeah.
You're not moving.
Sure.
Which I thought was our first game that we played, we kind of didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah.
So we're just like chucking dice at each other. Like we all. Burnsy, myself, and Moose.
Yep.
We all had assault mechs, right? So like the biggest mechs you could get,
sure,
equipped with like the most amount of guns.
Wow.
And it was just a slugfest, and it was like we knew we were like rolling. We're just chucking dice looking for ones, basically, because ones were misses.
All right, and everything else was hitting.
Yeah,
because you all had big boys
hitting, saving. Like we didn't know what we were doing, but it was so much fun.
Ah, so cool.
And then the next time we played, we actually read the rules. I'm like. So we did everything wrong, except for the part we re-rolled dice. That was right.
Well, that's good. That's the key.
Yeah.
So although Burnsy had these mechs printed for BattleTech, when he came around, you all decided to play the OnePageRules one because it was easier. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. Because we didn't want to like dedicate ourselves to learning the rules, basically. And Burnsy has a combination of official BattleTech miniatures and the ones that you 3D printed for him.
Sure.
And we were just like mixing and matching.
Yeah.
Everything was like suited each other perfectly.
Awesome.
Even his color schemes were great. Like so simple, but looked so good on the tabletop.
Awesome.
He done really well there. Yeah.
I saw his pictures in the Discord and I was like, they look sick. Yeah. Black and red. And I was like,
oh yeah.
Simple scheme, but they looked great.
Yeah.
I think it's just the hard edge paneling just always looks so nice once it's edged and
yeah.
And when you got a table full of painted models and you're blowing each other up with mechs.
It was so much fun. Like because we went there after the brewery.
Yeah.
So we were already, but like all three of us were sort of a few beers
on your way.
Deep,
Yeah.
And it's just like it was so funny and like like I think we intended not even to look at BattleTech.
Sure.
Burnsy had mentioned a couple of times wanting to play the OnePageRules version, and I was like, yeah, I'll play.
Yeah.
I'll play anything, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then like when we teed all this up, it was like, yep, done.
Yep.
We're playing Mecha Hex.
Mecha Hex.
I call it. It's spelt Mecha Hex, right? And I'm like, I don't know if like you pronounce it as Mecha or if you just pronounce it as Mech with a silent A.
A silent A.
I don't know.
Mecha Hex. Well, we'll do a
Mecha
spelling
Hex.
game. I'm going to get you to pronounce Mecha.
Mecha Hex.
Spell Mecha. Yeah.
But yeah, and like most of the other games we're familiar with, it uses a point system, the way
Sure.
you build your army. Our second game we played had a 200 point limit.
Yep.
So like different mechs had different point values. Medium mechs were like 60 points and heavies were 80. And then it was interesting because the only other point costing was for adding like a title or a hero.
Sure.
A title was like kind of like a special rule. Like there was one, I think it's called like Vanguard, where all your weapons count as having like relentless, which just means you can split fire.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the other one was like a scout deployment. So you could like, at the start of the game, you could like move or shoot.
Sure.
You know, so there's like little tiny little rules like that. And then the heroes added different things. But adding weapons didn't cost you anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. And there was a really good way of balancing it, where like certain mechs could have certain capacities via upgrade points. I had to write this down because I was like, I know I'm gonna just fluff it, and I'm gonna fluff it anyway. But like, at
You
least
only
now
played once,
structured.
so in your defense.
Yeah, thank you.
In your defense score, evasion score.
My evasion score. Yeah.
I did notice that I feel like a similar system, maybe, I could be wrong, I could be just getting my wires crossed, in their Battlefleet Gothic equivalent game. What is it called?
Warfleets.
FTL?
Warfleets, yeah.
I feel like they used a similar, real basic system where it was you either had squadrons, or light, medium, or large or heavy ships.
Yep.
And you then picked one, and I think you could then choose between a list of guns, and they didn't add stuff, but you could give it special rules like extra armor or whatever.
Yep.
That did cost points. So I feel like they've just sort of not copy and pasted, but copy and pasted that concept into the mech, because of ships in space, mechs on ground.
Yeah.
All be big, small, medium, light,
Same.
shooty, bang, bang. Yeah.
I as we were playing this game, I could easily imagine that you could interpret these rules into any kind of system. You could make up, I could make a game of like a naval game using this system. You know, you can have different sized ships, have the same sort of like the way you equip them or arm them.
Yeah.
And like you can just like rename everything and it would work.
Yeah.
Like, you could just reskin it and it would be anything. Like,
and because they have their point builder system available to those who sign up for the Patreon.
yeah, I think the point builder's only for Grimdark Future.
Oh,
Age of
okay.
Fantasy though. I mean, you could probably make it work.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it is like a real in-depth one where they've used their own point builder to make these other games, and if you could just then use that to reskin it, or like you say, you just say, instead of a mech, this word means this.
Yeah.
It's a ship.
Now it's a frigate.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the options there was endless. But the way that you equip the upgrades and weapons, so you have what they call upgrade slots.
Yep.
So, like, for instance, a heavy mech would have, like, a total upgrade score of 10.
Sure.
So, like, there'd be, like, 4 points can go into the torso.
Yep.
And then there was, like, 3 points for each arm.
Great.
So, like...
makes sense.
Yeah. During the game, that didn't really matter.
Right.
Like, the way that you assign... It's probably important to explain this first, right? The way that, instead of having hit points or wounds, you assign the damage to your upgrades.
Right.
So your mech isn't killed until all of your upgrades have been destroyed.
Sure. That's interesting.
Yeah, like it was actually really, because the first time I'm like, how are you going to do this? How's this going to work?
Yeah.
And it does. It worked actually really, really well. So, like, for instance, that a particle cannon, which costs 3 upgrade slots, essentially has 3 wounds.
Right.
So that takes 3 wounds until it's destroyed.
Sure.
And there's upgrades that are like experimental armor, which gives you like a 5-up save to roll after you take damage, basically like a feel no pain save.
Sure.
Which costs 2 upgrade points.
And then that's 2 wounds.
2 wounds.
Pseudo wounds.
Yeah. So then you can destroy that upgrade. Then it doesn't. You can't use it. Like you can't. You no longer have that save.
Right.
Your mech's still alive.
Still
obviously.
kicking.
Yeah.
So if something to does the person damaging the mech assign the damage, or does the person owning the mech?
We played it as the person that receives the damage, so
cool.
you decide where your damage goes.
Sure.
But like most games, you can't spread the damage. It's like once it's assigned to one upgrade, that has to keep taking the wounds until it's destroyed.
Sure. Okay.
Kind of like a multi-model unit that has multiple wounds. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you keep stacking wounds on one model till it's killed.
Yeah.
And then you keep doing it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Same.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So as soon as the gun takes one wound, it's still fine until it's completely blown up. It's
Yeah.
either working or it's not.
Yeah.
Sure.
We actually talked about like it'd be cool if it like suffered like penalties for
Yeah.
how damaged it is.
Yeah.
Like you can imagine a cannon that's taken a beating.
Yeah.
Like it's limping, right? It's
Yeah.
still firing, but it's not at peak performance.
You could house rule that real easy, I feel like. For every wound it has, you roll a dice, and on a 6 up, it jams and fails.
Yeah.
So then you're like,
Yep.
it's unlikely to happen.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
if you've
But
taken
there's
2
still
wounds.
that chance of it happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we talked about that, and then I think it might have been Burnsy. He's like, if we're going to go that far, you might as well just play BattleTech.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's great because, although those games are complicated like BattleTech, you can wet your feet with something like this OnePageRules
Yeah.
on. And if you play it 10, 15 times and you're like, all right, it's getting a little thin, getting a little stale now.
Let's have a look at BattleTech.
We obviously like the mech concept enough to play 10, 15 games of this thing.
Yep.
Let's go BattleTech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some cool upgrades too that was like extra armor. So like that would cost you 1 upgrade point, but it would give you basically 3 wounds. So it could take
wow.
3 damage.
Wow.
And like we were sort of looking at the rules, and Burns is like, can I give like just 1 mech, just like 3 lots of extra armor?
Yeah.
And we kind of looked through the 2 pages of rules, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, doesn't say you can't.
Yeah, there you go.
So like he kitted 1 mech out with like, I think I had like 2 slots of extra armor. So it cost him 2 points, but gave him like 6 wounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unstoppable.
Yeah.
Was it unstoppable?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I managed to do a bit of damage, but it tore me a new one.
So maybe that's not the rule.
Yeah. But like the
Sorry, did the ship just hit an asteroid or what happened?
So,
hang on, I'll just press these buttons over here.
good job. That's the anti-asteroid button.
Yeah,
Yep,
I've pressed it now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't know what. Sorry, I should have pressed that before the show. I wasn't thinking.
You did my job.
Put my phone on silent. Hit the anti-asteroid.
100%.
I'd like to divert that to the fridge so we can keep our cold ones cold.
Diverting power to the fridge.
Yeah.
But yeah, like adding extra armor to a mech would mean you've sacrificing its weapons, its
Sure.
loadout. So it's like it's heavily armored, but it's got like 1 gun
Yeah.
or something.
But that one sounds like you weren't really sacrificing that much. Like you could just load it up and
Yeah.
put a
Yeah.
missile barrage on it. And
Yeah.
did he win the game with that mech?
Yes, he did win the game. Yep.
Oh.
It was coming in. We played with 5 objectives, 3 players, 5 objectives. I managed to score 2. Burnsy scored 2. Moose had 1. Right. Me and Moose were sort of battling it over what ended up being my second objective.
Ah, right, sure.
And then so he killed me and took that objective, and then I think Burnsy killed me again. So I got wiped.
Yeah.
And then those 2 battled it off, but Burnsy won. I don't know if he beat Moose 2-1 or 3-2. I can't quite remember. But,
Sure.
But he clutched it at the end there.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I bet it was that overpowered double armored
Has
mech.
to have been.
You
Has to have been.
net lister Burnsy.
Sweaty.
Sweaty Burnsy. I'd do it too.
Yeah.
You got to know. How do you know unless you give it a go?
That's right. But the weapons had an interesting mechanic as well, right? So like you have an attack value of the weapon, which means how many dice you roll.
Sure.
Obviously looking to exceed the evasion of the model that you're shooting at.
Yeah.
And then they also have a strength value, which determines how many saves your opponent gets to make. So
Right.
so for instance, you might fire a weapon that has an attack value of 4.
Yep.
4 dice.
Love
Let's say
that.
you hit with 3 of them.
Yep.
If the strength of that weapon is 2, means your opponent only gets to make 1 save roll. So it's almost like you've got 2 shots that are guaranteed to get through.
Right.
Unless you have there's a special equipment called experimental armor for the 5-up invul save.
Sure.
Or feel no pain save rather.
And that goes on all the wounds.
Yeah. So then you still get to roll that, So there's some really cool mechanics like that. Very, very simple, like so basic.
Sure.
We didn't really know the first time we played it, like what strength mean? We're like, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Strength is how strong you have to be to hold these big dice.
These massive dice.
These huge dice.
Yeah.
It does sound like a typical one-page-rules game where it's the core of it is super simple.
Oh man, so simple.
So simple.
Yeah.
But then they just throw enough of a list building experience and just enough of these extra little quirks to the mechanics to keep it interesting to play sort of that 10, 15 times.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we played it the first time without knowing what the rules were and had heaps of fun.
Yeah.
You know, like you could play with kids, you could water it down even more so.
Yeah.
And you could have a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
The hex system I found very interesting. Like I kind of liked not having to measure with the tape and then, you know, is that where I measured, like, you know, at a glance, or am I doing myself over by measuring too short?
Sure.
It was like, what's my move? 5 hexes. I'm pivoting once. Cool. So I pivot and then move 4. You know,
Right.
like it was just, yeah.
So, sorry, does Hex and Mech use the same movement system as BattleTech? That one per square versus pivot is one?
I'm not sure.
Or did you guys just do it that way?
That's the rules for Mecha Hex.
Mecha Hex. Okay, it is the same for BattleTech.
Oh, is it really?
That's the only thing I know about BattleTech is how to do the movement.
Okay, cool.
Because when I picked up a box for Burnsy that I'd had for a month or so,
Yep.
at one stage I opened it to check the mechs in there. The official ones were the same as what I was printing, size-wise, and I just had to flick through the book and I learned how to do the movement phase.
Nice.
And it's that same thing. It's like, one movement is 1 hex.
Yep.
Pivoting is 1 movement. Going up a level is 2. Oh, it's 1 extra movement per level.
Yeah.
Things like
That's
that.
exactly the same.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly the same. There's equipment you can get, like jump jets, which like eliminate that extra cost for going up or down.
Ah, sure.
Or you can just basically move over terrain as if it wasn't terrain.
Yeah, wow.
Kind of like the fly keyword.
Boost.
For Warhammer.
Jet. Boost jet.
Boost jets.
Jet boost.
Jump boosts. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jump boots.
Jump boots. Couple of jump booties.
Yeah. So,
Interesting. And you guys, did you play with the terrain, like the different levels?
The terrain that you printed. The
sure.
hex terrain, the mountains.
Yeah.
Burnsy was shattered because he didn't get them painted in time, but like it was still fine. Like it was
It adds enough that it doesn't feel like a board game anymore.
No.
You feel like you're actually...
playing a war game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could imagine it would be very cool to also play as a war game on a big ass table with mountains and that's all. That's all I got. Everything on a big table with mountains.
Yeah.
Is a war game to me.
Yeah.
I'm just brought back to my seeing my first war game, which was like Lord of the Rings,
Oh yeah.
and it was like. You know those like green hideous mats they used to use? 'Cause wargaming was like primitive.
Yep.
Like 15 years ago.
Was it like thrown over like stacks of books and
Oh
stuff?
yeah, I don't know what was under it, but it was
Yeah.
lumpy, and like you could push it, and it was like
Just scrunched up newspaper.
I feel like it was alive. Someone's cat was sleeping there, and they just laid it out.
Yeah.
But in my that's what I know that it was. But
Yeah.
in my head, it was I was basically in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And so now every war game that has mountains and a big ass
Takes
table,
you back there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
of
there.
course.
So mechs there would be cool. Mechs shooting at Frodo Baggins and the likes would be balanced and fair.
Yeah, I feel like the Fellowship would stand no chance if Sauron had a fucking big mech.
We'll never know unless we
True.
play it out.
Let's do it.
No, let's do it now. On a battle report coming to you.
All of the weapons had like special rules that came with them as well.
Okay.
There wasn't many. There was maybe 10. There was things like ammo box was a special rule where like things like Gatling guns and missiles and that, which you kind of imagine have to have massive stores of ammunition.
Sure.
When they take damage, they automatically receive an extra point of damage. I guess to replicate like the spare ammo exploding or
Yeah,
something, maybe.
sure.
Which is enough to probably kill a lot of your upgrades in one go. You know, like
Wow.
you hit once, which is 1 wound. Boom, 2 wounds. There goes your medium Gatling gun or something like that.
Not my medium Gatling gun.
Oh, not the medium Gatling.
I needed that to win.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What do you think, playing the game, what was probably your either funnest moment or favorite mechanic that it had? What was the moment where you're like, oh yeah, this is the shit?
Oh man, there was so many moments where it was just like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, this is sweet. Like seeing the mechs Burnsy had painted.
Yeah.
And then seeing the table, like I always wondered how a hexed terrain system would look.
Yeah, probably similar to Underworlds, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you've got these mountains which are like hexes and then
For
like
sure.
square, like right angle corners and stuff. It was kind of like, this is jarring. But then after we started playing, it was like, it almost like blended into it and it just made
You're
it
in
work.
New Zealand.
Back in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as like, favorite, there was so many moments that was just fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't heavy. It didn't require much, like maybe 15 minutes of list building at the start.
Sure.
Which was interesting as well. Interesting, the upgrade system. That's probably one of my favorite parts was how, you can assign different weapons and different upgrades to your mechs and kit them out the way that you sort of want them.
Very cool.
Very, very customizable. Very, and of course, miniature agnostic. It's not WYSIWYG. You don't have to worry about how they look. You can just, this is an assault mech with, 2 artillery rockets and all whatever weapons you want.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Did you guys, like, at the start, were you all building lists together and, like, comparing notes and
Pretty
talking
much,
about the list? Yeah, that's cool.
We didn't really, we shared most things. Burnsy definitely kept the extra armor quiet.
Yeah.
Until I fired on
You
him the
need to
first
win,
time.
man. It's his game. When it's your game and you bring it to someone's house.
You can't not win your game.
You got to win. You got to bring that extra armor.
Yeah. But yeah, like we all took very similar lists in the end.
Yeah.
But we all had a couple
Super
of
kitted
mediums
out
and-
assaults.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many mechs did each of you have?
We ended up playing a second game, our sort of main game. We ended up playing with 3 mechs each.
Okay.
So 200 points worth.
Sure.
Moose took like 1 assault mech, which is 100 points.
Oh, wow.
And then maybe he had 4 mechs, but he had a couple of smaller ones.
Yeah, sure. Some spiders.
Yeah, I just took some like mid-size, mediums and like 1 heavy.
Sure.
I think 2 mediums, 1 heavy. Kitted out as much as I could.
Fair.
Yeah, it uses an interesting round. Like each round has like different phases. There's like 6 phases,
Right.
Which we didn't really play correctly. I found out later as I was like writing some of this down. But like it operates from like a vehicle phase is the very first phase. So in the game you can have ground vehicles as well.
That's why Burnsy asked me to print him some tanks.
Yep.
That makes sense. I thought he was playing a different game, but there you go. It's for BattleTech.
Yeah.
I mean, Hexamex.
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 Sounds like a Mexican restaurant.
Hexamex. I'd go there.
Oh, same.
Does that
As
mean
long as everything's hex shaped.
it has to
Hex-shaped
be?
tacos.
Or do you get what is hex? What is
6 sides. Oh, it could be like 6 courses of Mexican food.
I'm
It's
there.
too much. It's way too much. One
Well,
course
but
is
if its
enough.
price is right, then you could just eat 3 courses and look at the next 3.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway,
We should do that.
wow, for the right price, I'll do anything.
I know. So there's like the ground vehicle phase, which is like they're kind of like auxiliary units, right?
Sure.
They're just there to like stir up your opponent, move
Yeah.
quickly across the board kind of thing.
Disrupt.
Yeah. Disruption tactics. And then from there it goes like it goes into like your light mech phase. So all your small mechs move first.
Oh,
and then
wow.
through medium, heavy, assault, and finally structures, because you can have buildings as well.
Sure. And they can move.
No,
Oh, dang. I thought they'd get up like a crab.
just like walk.
Yeah,
and like, sit down again. Yeah.
Did that factory just move? I wouldn't worry about it.
But yeah,
What are the buildings do in their face?
shoot.
Shoot. Oh, real buildings to shoot.
Yeah. Some can shoot. Some have. They've got stats like there's armor and weapons.
Sure.
Upgrade slots, and so you can equip them however you want. I don't know why you would
Yeah.
want buildings.
I printed him like some shopping malls, and I'm just trying to imagine them doing
I
anything.
think you did that. Oh, shopping malls? The
Yeah.
building sites?
Yeah, not the building sites. There was some
Oh, you
like
don't-
bigger.
Oh, that's terrain.
Oh,
You
sure.
use
So
that
that's
as terrain.
different. Yeah.
Yeah,
So terrain buildings is different from.
Yep. Like
Crab buildings.
yeah,
Yeah.
crab like buildings.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Actually, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It was a lot of fun. It was something very light. After the first game we played so wrong, I was so confident that I could like teach them how to play this.
Yeah, awesome.
And then after the second game, I was like, okay, yeah, we made some mistakes, but now I'm ready to teach them.
now I can take a class.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
as at the end of all of these reviews, you must put it on a radar, on a scale. This scale's a little different. I want to know, out of 10,
Yep.
how keen are you to hit it again? 10 is like, I got some mechs over there ready to go. 1 is like, I don't care if I never play it again.
Well, I might go like an 8
Sure.
because I will be requesting you to print me some mechs.
Sure. I'll fire up the forge.
Yeah, yes, please.
Shovel the coal in.
Yep. Pour the resin.
Yep.
Yeah, nah, very keen.
Yeah,
very
awesome.
Keen. I might even get like two forces, or like enough mechs to make 2 forces.
But I'll buy a second printer. Noted.
And more resin.
And more resin. Much more resin.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
I'd give it like a solid 8. Like it was just,
Cool.
It was a lot of fun. Like all the OnePageRules stuff. Like this isn't ready for a tournament.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how balanced it is.
Yeah.
It seemed really balanced. Like everything sort of countered each other. Like your really powerful weapons, might have like long ranges.
Yeah.
But they cost upgrade points. Like it just seemed like a good balanced sort of system. Like,
You could play a casual event for it.
You could. You really
have
could.
like a pseudo tournament, no prizes or anything. We're all just here to have a good time.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you could support that,
Absolutely.
and you wouldn't be too worried about
Nah.
those people
Nah.
doing those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
You know. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool, dude.
Yeah, a bunch of fun.
If you're listening to this episode, thank you.
Thank you very much.
For your time. If you have liked anything that you've heard, or if you play BattleTech, Hexatech, Hexamex, Texamex, Bot Wars, Hexagear, Mech Warrior 4 on PC, jump in the Discord.
Join
Let
the
us know.
Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Links at hobbyhomies.com for all the good stuff. We got Discord, we got Patreon where you can spend some money to help us, which is a weird concept. Why would you give us money? Well, there's lots of perks
Many perks.
and bonuses. I'm not sure what they are, but Shane implores me that
you
there
get
is
early
many.
access to some videos like this one.
Yeah, there you go.
And battle reports and
And the likes of that.
stuff like that.
I'm sure there's like a discount for our merch store and
Yep.
something else. Free entry to all giveaways.
Yes, we do giveaways every month.
And your very own Patreon-only giveaway. So 2 chances to win prizes.
Yep.
As well as our undying love and potentially gift pack on the higher tiers.
Of course.
Having said all that, thank you so much to all of our Patronians.
Yes, thank you. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing all this cool stuff
No, we'd be over there.
over there playing games by ourselves.
Yeah. No one wants that. No one wants that.
Massive shout out to Burnsy, Whack, Final Dinosaur, MJ, Lethal, Moose, Penny, Gridlock, Battle Maps Jack, and Test Dummy.
We got Elko, Churchy, thanks Churchy. We got Rad Rooster, Ollie Hawkers, Agro, Agro. Hello, Agro. Bravo 14, and Big Roach. You're all amazing. Your continued support keeps the lights on, cameras rolling, Shane talking,
Yep.
me meching, Mecha Hexing, and you looking sexy.
Also, if you're still here, it means you really care. Maybe go out, find your significant other, tell them how much you appreciate them. Grab their phone, go on YouTube, and click subscribe to
Yeah.
Hobby Homies podcast.
Just tell them you're ordering them something, and you just need their details, and then
just go on there.
subscribe.
Find your friend's phone, click subscribe. People on the bus or the train,
Yeah,
subscribe on their phone.
Tell them to subscribe, and then if they don't look like they did it, just take their phone.
Yeah,
They lied to you. What do you care? So, yeah,
it would help us a lot. Thank you so much.
it would.
See you next time.
Toodles.
Hooroo.
Woo! Big up to the boys, Fox and Shane. Set your minds free, no locks and chains. Do what you love, roll the dice. 50-50, we cold as ice. One thing cold, but the penny turn red.